Okay, 7th grade, today we're going to switch gears a little bit with our lesson. Hopefully the past 2 days worth of videos weren't too overwhelming by condensing 3 lessons into one. For sake of time though, if we wanted to get through as much as we could, it was necessary. So switching gears today, we're going to be looking at samples and surveys. So we're not actually going to be looking at numerical data. We're not going to be looking at measures of center, dispersion, or any type of displays of that data. Instead, we're going to be looking at sampling and different types of sampling and survey methods. So quite a bit of what we're going to do in this lesson will sound hopefully familiar from pre-algebra. Some of the terminology will be new, but the actual idea, the objective of the lesson itself will be very similar. So to start, we want to work on classifying different types of data, and we can do that 2 ways. We can classify as quantitative and qualitative, or we can classify as univariate and bivariate. So that's the focus of this first video. Quantitative data has units that can be measured and numerically compared. And here's some examples for you: age, weight, time, and test scores. Qualitative data describe a category. They cannot be measured or numerically compared. Some examples here would be hair color, attitude, which your book included. I thought that was interesting, and zip codes. I'd like to clarify with the zip codes. Yes, zip codes use numbers to be represented. However, the numbers are just the name of that zip code area. So same thing with phone numbers. Those are not going to be considered quantitative data because you're not actually measuring the zip code. You're just naming the zip code using numbers. So that's the trickiest this may get. So you want to ask yourself, am I actually measuring a value? Am I using this to kind of weigh out how much something is? That's going to be your quantitative. If you're just listing the names or the choices of a category, that's going to be qualitative. And a quick connection to 12.2 with histograms and bar charts. Quantitative data would be represented by an histogram, while a qualitative data set would be represented using bar chart. So for Alg1, if you're following along in your book, we're going to classify and explain our classifications. So cost of CDs is part A. Costs are numerical data. They're used as a unit of measure, so those are going to be numerical, and it would be quantitative data. For part B, we have eye colors. These are not numerical. That would be our explanation as to why we would classify this as qualitative data. So even though we could say 3 people have brown eyes, the topic of discussion is the eye color, not how many have that eye color. So that's why this would be qualitative instead of quantitative. Okay, and our second method of classifying would be to state either univariate or bivariate. Now there's many other options as well, but we're going to stick with these 2. Univariate, the prefix uni there, means 1. So a data set using only 1 variable. Bivariate, the prefix being bi, means 2. So that would be 2 variables for your data set. Okay, so the best way to really explain those a little bit better is just to look at examples. So here we have in part A, the heights and weights. The word "and" here is a big clue that we're comparing 2 different measures. So that would be bivariate. We've got 2 variables, height versus weight. Part B, we have the cost of internet service from several different providers. Don't let this piece here, several different providers, throw you off. That's just stating that we're comparing one type of cost amongst different providers. So this is actually univariate because we're comparing cost. Okay, and that wraps up our first video, introducing our lesson and classifying data. The next lesson we'll actually look at sampling and different types of methods.